Greetings, I'm back in the space station. You've probably all seen my night lapses where I set up something like a DJI Osmo, it's out of shot, a DJI Osmo or a GoPro Hero 8 or a Hero 4 or something along those lines, and you see the screen starts white and then it fades into stars or clouds or whatever happens to be there at night, and then fades back to being white again. So what's happening there is that it's starting off on a 30-second shutter speed, so it's taking a lot of light in, so it's getting very bright, and then as the night gets darker and darker and darker and darker, it fades into the actual picture. So my time lapses that I do, or night lapses if you prefer, generally probably 8-9 hours long from the start of the recording to the finishing of the recording. So someone asked the other day about DJI Osmo, and they say that they got 3 hours on a night lapse. How did I get so many hours? Simple answer is I use these. So I use the waterproof cases for the Hero 8 or the Osmo. I drill a hole in the side of them so I can then, wrong end, plug a USB lead into it, which will then poke into the camera, obviously. And then this black stuff here is just simple common old garden plasticine, which you can buy from your hobby shop. It's an oil-based plasticine, not a clay. So it's a modelling clay, but it's actually an oil-based one, which does a really good job of sealing to stop any moisture getting in there. I wouldn't recommend sticking it in a pond, but for mist and dew and light rain, it will perfectly suffice. And then this end, the USB end, I'm lucky enough to live on a planet called the Earth, where we have something called electricity. So I take my very short USB lead, plug it into a very long USB lead, and I wrap tape around that joint to make sure that no water gets in there overnight, and then plug it into a USB socket in the house. So that's how that works. So I thought I'd tell you that. Chris from DIY Astro was saying about one of his cameras, how he wasn't at a great length of time, and wondering how I've managed to do a time lapse on my EOS 600D for so long. To Chris, basically again, same thing, I cheated. This is my EOS 600D. As you can see, it's in a plastic bag. There's one plastic bag. Then I have my lens warmer, which is USB powered as well, and then my second plastic bag. It's all nicely taped around my 8mm wide angle f3.5 lens. So the only thing that actually gets wet is the lens. And how do we power this bad boy? Well, again, because we live on the planet Earth, we have, if I can find the end of it, which is now all tangled around a USB lead, we have one of these, an AC power adapter for the EOS 600D, which I can't get the battery bit out, but it's basically the shape of a battery, plugs into the battery socket, and then it runs out this little hole here at the side. Again, this bit stays in the house. I extended the wire with some speaker cable really badly. As you can see, the tape's starting to come off, and it is soldered, which is very much unlike me. So I run that into the house to do 8, 9, 10 hour time lapses, however long they happen to be, and how many hours of darkness we get. That looks like this. That's my hand, that didn't really work. hope you enjoyed those little compilation of night lapses, we'll call them that, because that's the correct term for them. Another video you may have seen is where I left a mirrorless camera out all night. Now, I didn't use a plastic bag for that one, because I invented, well, I didn't really invent, somebody else probably invented it, but I invented it-ish. For my little Micro Four Thirds Panasonic, it's a Olympus EPN2, which is like a 16 megapixel Micro Four Thirds camera, which was I bought Astro modified or full spectrum. So I thought it'd be fun to stick that outside for 24 hours. And now, how did I do that? So I didn't use a plastic bag, I just said. So I got an acrylic box. So I bought an acrylic box from eBay. I think it was about £15, and it was just big enough to fit the old Olympus camera in. Again, as you can see, there is wires coming from it, and I'll explain what they are in a second. Quite simple. Lid of the box comes off. I have inside made 3D printed all of these black liners to keep light from hitting the sides and getting into the lens and whatever. My handy dandy lens hood that I made just to keep again stray light coming from outside. So also waterproof, it's electrical tape just to seal the joints around it, just to be sure it doesn't get wet. I've mounted it to a 3D printed base, which I've cut a nice little handy dandy hole out the bottom where you can access the battery and the SD card, etc. And depending on where it is, you can slide it across to be able to do that. So right, here we go. So you can, the SD card's not there, but you can pop out this. Again, it's a battery shaped device that fits in the bottom of the camera, bottom door removed. And this one though, a little bit special. It came all the way from China or Japan land, one of the two, can't remember which, but I bought it on eBay. If you have any Olympus EPN2, whatever it's called, and you want one of these little handy dandy adapters for the type of battery it uses, I don't know if it says on here, and the battery is in the house. No, it doesn't, but I'll link it in the description below. It actually plugs in via USB, so it converts the 7.2 volts that this needs via USB 5 volts to 7.2 volts. That's one cable that comes out, and then intervalometer comes out on the other. Another question you may be having is, how do I keep dew off the box and the lens and things? I don't have a USB powered lens wall for that one. I only have one that's small enough, which is on the Canon, and I have a big one which will be used on a telescope. But I quite simply use something that's quite cheap, that costs £1 a pack, which is these hot hand warmers. Just little hand warmers that you open up the packet. Once the air gets to them, they create a thermal reaction. I believe it's something along the lines of thermite that's in them, but obviously not quite as harsh. I tape one of these to the top of the lens, one to the bottom of the lens, put the lid on, and then I also tape one of these underneath the tripod adapter thing around here somewhere, so the heat from it goes upwards. And I also tape one around about there to keep any moisture and dew and shit away from that. Now I will be building a bigger one of those. I've ordered another box, which is, this is 150mm square. I've ordered one that's 250mm, which will A, fit the Canon, and B, if I'm ever brave enough, I might put in one of my Sony mirrorlesses, so my A7S II or my A7R. And with it being that big sided box, I could probably squeeze in a couple of GoPros or an Osmo or something in it as well. But anyway, the Olympus footage was quite a little bit out of focus. I have a light pollution filter on there as well. I'm using the kit lens at 14mm f3.5. I might try and find something like a 7.5mm for it, which will give me a 14mm. This is micro four thirds, so 2x crop factor lens, which is going to be like an f2.8 or something. I might try and buy one of those eventually. If you like and subscribe and do all sorts of stuff, and that might earn possibly some 50p on YouTube. 50p is great. But yeah, that looks like this. I will try the lens thing over with the hand again. Enjoy. Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that quite lengthy video. I'm sorry it was quite lengthy. I have a couple of favours to ask. I would like you to subscribe to some channels. Chris's channel, DIY Astro, I'll link in the description below. Another chap called Astro Barrack, I'll link his description. And Jim's channel from Carolina Night Sky. I'd like you to subscribe to him as well. Again, I will leave his description, his link for his channel description below even. I have had too much space wine already, even though I've only had probably this much. That's probably a lie. Anyway, yeah, and if you would like to subscribe to my channel, would also be great. Anyway, subscribe to those channels, subscribe to mine, hit the thumbs up and all that bell icon malarkey. I hope you enjoyed the video. Buenos dias.